Today we're gonna test the theory of EVs on long road trips. Let's do it. We're gonna start in Tempe, Arizona. We're gonna drive 800 something miles all the way to Colorado. Here we have the 2024 Blazer EV RS all-wheel drive, and this has a range of about 285 miles. What we're gonna do in this experiment is compare the cost of a gas road trip to an EV road trip. We're gonna compare the time. How long will it take us to charge? How long will it take us to get there compared to just filling up in a gas station? How consistent the chargers are, how reliable the chargers are, how quick the chargers are. I was given this EV when I moved here to Arizona for school, and I didn't like it at first. I'm a car guy against EVs, but I've changed my mind because there is a little bit of a market for EVs, and it's just driving around. It's commuting to work, it's commuting to school, and things of that nature. It works perfectly fine. So it's completely changed my viewpoint on EVs for this specific reason. But the number one downside of EVs is road trips. Everybody knows it. That's the biggest weakness. Is it realistic if you plan out your route ahead of time? Can we do it? We have our first charging stop in the maps here, 4.5 hours. It's 271 miles, but it's saying we're gonna get there with -8% battery. While you guys enjoy some of the beautiful scenery on our drive from Arizona into New Mexico, I figured I'd share some of my first impressions. We left Tempe at about 2:45 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with the Blazer charged to 100%. First, it said we were going to get there at -8%, and then it dropped to -13%. Later, that percentage went back to about -10%. The Blazer is constantly updating its estimate based on the way the driver is using the car. It's looking at your speed, how hard you are on the accelerator, your air condition, and even the terrain. I wasn't driving trying to squeeze every last mile out of it, but I also wasn't flying down the highway going 90 miles an hour. Again, I want this to be as realistic of a test as I can make it. The biggest thing working against us turned out to be the elevation. Between Tempe and Gallup, we climbed over 5,200 feet, and that takes a lot more energy than just driving on flat ground. This is not something that I thought of. After a while, it became pretty obvious to me that our original plan wasn't going to happen. An estimated arrival of -10% still meant I was going to be 28 miles short, and I wasn't comfortable doing that. So the original 3-stop trip actually turned into a 4-stop trip. I'll throw the updated route on the screen now so you can see exactly what changed and where we decided to add the extra charging stop. Here we are. We weren't gonna make it to our first stop. We were gonna have to use no air condition and probably play no music for the whole ride, and we didn't do that. We probably would have made it if we did that, but we want to do a real world test. Right now we're charging. I bought the membership. It was only $7. It cuts the price in half. It was supposed to be 72 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a lot of money. This is an 85 kilowatt hour battery. So I'll put up right there on the screen what that would have cost. Because we got the $7 membership, it only costs 36 cents a kilowatt hour, so it cut it in half. This is a prime charging time. The fees change based on what time of day it is. The next stop that we were originally supposed to make it to is only 2 hours away. I think it was like 114 miles. We had 96 miles in the car left. We could have tried to squeeze it out, but we didn't want to be uncomfortable. We're gonna charge this not to 100%, but just to basically get us to the next charger. And then hopefully from there, we won't have to add on too many more stops. We'll see how it goes. I'll put up on the screen right there how much this single charge cost us. Finding this station was actually super easy. I simply put it in my phone. The car itself has Google Maps, which actually will plan out your whole route with EV chargers in mind, which is awesome. When the car first came out in 24, it didn't work too well. It's now halfway through 2026. It works very well. So if you look here, this is a 350 kilowatt charger. And then this charger over here is 150 kilowatts. So this is half the power. It would take double the time to charge the car. So this is a fast charger, and it's charging extremely quick. It's getting 335 miles per hour, which is insane. When it first started, that was at 450. So over the time, it heats up a little bit and the range goes down. Yeah, it was super easy. I literally pressed the number stall on my app. We took out the thing, we plugged it in, and it was done. Pretty convenient. I would say just as convenient as a gas station. It just takes longer. This is going to take 45 minutes. So we'll see you guys at the next stop. Back on the road again we go. We charged for about 17 minutes and we're leaving at exactly 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Right now we're at 73.9% battery, which means 210.6 miles of range. Our next stop is Gallup, New Mexico. One thing I wanted to touch on during this drive is power consumption. Does air conditioning, ventilated seats, the radio, charging your phone, or having screen brightness actually drain the battery? Let me explain. The short answer is yes, but it's a bit more complicated than that. This all depends on what you're looking to get out of your EV during the road trip. For example, the way I looked at this test was comparing it to a gas vehicle. When you drive a gas vehicle on a road trip, you don't worry about the radio, you don't worry about the air condition, you don't worry about charging your phone, you don't worry about anything because the alternator is constantly charging the battery. All you have to worry about is filling up with gas. With me wanting to directly compare these two scenarios, I wanted to keep it as realistic as possible. What that meant to me was not changing anything about the way that I drive. I used the air condition as much as I want, I charged my phone as much as I want, I listened to music as loud as I want, I drove whatever speed I wanted, obeying legal limits obviously, and I had the screen as bright as I want. Due to that, I need to leave a little bit of range on arrival. If you're looking to arrive with about 0% battery or even possibly in the negatives, this definitely matters. To me, this seemed like a huge burden and not realistic for a normal person during a road trip. That's why I didn't want to do any of those things. But technically, if you were looking to squeeze every single last mile possible out of an EV's battery, that is the way to do it. Just as a test, I did notice when I did all of those things, the estimated arrival percentage of the battery on the GPS would change in a positive direction. For example, if I was arriving normally with negative 10% and I turned all of those things off, it would say I'm arriving with about 0% battery, which is kind of impressive. That means you're saving a whole 10% of your battery just by not using any accessories. I do just want to reiterate, as long as you properly plan, just like you should on a gas road trip, you will not run into these problems, and this is absolutely not something you have to worry about. As you can see here in this quick clip, this is the lowest I've ever gotten the battery before. It put this little turtle symbol on the screen, and then in the bottom left you can actually see the battery range went away completely and it just says low. But as you can see from the actual battery gauge, I have about 5 to 10%. The range itself went away when I hit under 10%, and we ended up arriving at the stop with 5% to spare, which I thought was perfect. On to the next stop. Hey guys, we're at our second stop here. We're all plugged in and charging up. We made it here with 5 miles to spare. We're here now for an hour. It's gonna charge up to 100% this time, 285 miles. And then our next destination is Pagosa Springs, and that is 212 miles away. So technically, we don't have to charge to full if we don't want to, just to be safe so we can listen to music and use as much air conditioning as we want. We'll see how long this takes. It should take an hour. We'll see how much it costs, but this is the same company as the first stop we had, Electrify America. It's also another super fast 350 kilowatt charger. There's actually 2 350s and 2 150s, just like the other one. So you have to be careful, make sure you park at the right one. That's about it. We'll see you guys at the next stop. We left Gallup, New Mexico at 9:52 p.m. MDT on 100% battery, and this is what the GPS estimated. We will see you guys in Pagosa Springs. What's up, guys? We made it to our third stop. The car's almost done. This is our first charge point charger, and it was a bit of a pain in the butt. I thought using the ChargePoint app would be better because all the other ones, the apps worked better. It wasn't working for like 10 minutes, and then I did a simple Apple Pay, tap to pay, and it worked in 2 seconds. We made it here. We had, I don't know, 30, 40 miles to spare, so that was perfect. So it's taken about an hour and 25 minutes to get this car to full. We've been here about an hour at this point, and then we are going to drive 4 hours to the next Tesla supercharger with only 10% battery reserve, and that could diminish a little bit during the drive, but it's been really accurate so far, so I'm not too worried about it. We are in the beautiful Pagosa Springs. It's super nice here. Me and my mom drove through here when we drove from Colorado to Phoenix. You probably can't see too much because of the flash. It's super, super nice. Let me turn the flash off, maybe you can see. So you can see over there, Pagosa Springs Resort. You can actually see some of the water moving right there. pretty freaking cool. You can actually see some steam up there a little bit too. This is Pagosa Springs. It smells crazy strong like sulfur, and that's because it's naturally the hot springs. That's what, you know, makes them hot. There's more water down there. I remember me and my mom actually went down there, took a couple pictures and stuff. Super nice little place to be. I don't feel, you know, in danger whatsoever. So far this is going pretty well. Definitely takes longer than gas, no question about it. We're gonna wait for this thing to finish up. We're gonna drive 4 hours to the supercharger. That should be our last stop before we get to the house. I'll catch you guys at the next charger or the next update. All right, guys, we're back on the road heading from Pagosa Springs to Aspen Park for our final charging stop of the trip. I didn't get a whole lot of footage during this stretch. At this point, I was driving for about 15 hours straight, and I was absolutely exhausted. If you're planning a drive like this or a really long road trip in general, I definitely recommend either switching drivers with someone if you can, or just grabbing a hotel room for the night and finishing the next day. But, you know, I'm a man, I'm stubborn. I figured stopping would just waste more time and cost more money, and I really wanted this trip to just be a fair test of what it would actually be like driving an EV and just powering through. So that's exactly what I did. It was definitely pretty weird driving through the afternoon in the night. I don't think I've ever driven this long before for one period of time. The views were absolutely crazy. Watching it just go from pitch black to the sun rising was actually a pretty cool experience. Anyway, let's get to our final charging stop. We finally made it to our last stop. As you can probably tell, I'm super tired. I've been driving for 18 hours straight. So we just got here. We just drove 4.5 hours from the last charging spot to this charging spot. We didn't need the crutch in between, which was perfect. We thought we might, but we didn't. As you can tell, it's daylight now. I think we left there at like 4 a.m. or something like that. It's now like 8:30 or whatever it is. We made it here. I was shocked because it was 4.5 hour drive, and we made it here with about 15% to spare. The drive that we took in the beginning, I think, was 4 hours flat. Just because of the ups and downs in the beginning, that destroyed our range, because this one was a lot more smooth. We drove 4.5 hours like it was nothing. This is our last stop. We hooked it up to the Tesla supercharger, as you can see. 38 cents per kilowatt hour with the membership. It's pretty good. We're just gonna charge it to 80 because all we need is 50 miles to get to the house. We'll take it from there. So far, mainly everything has gone according to plan, besides that first crutch that we had to do. Seems to be going pretty good, and everything was very affordable too. So I'll show the prices up at the end, but it's looking really good so far. So no complaints. Before we get into the results, I put a ton of time into filming this trip, editing everything together, doing all the math, and making sure all these numbers were as accurate as possible. I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. Now, let's see how the trip turned out. After leaving that last final charging stop in Aspen Park, we had 80% battery and about 225 miles of range. We made the last stretch into Loveland, Colorado with no problems. By the time we arrived, we still had 63% battery left, or about 179 miles. I didn't record once we got there because, to be honest, after nearly 18 hours straight of driving on the road with no sleep, I was completely exhausted and pretty much went straight to bed. That brought the total cost out of pocket from Phoenix to Denver with a full car and 2 people to $121.34. For a quick comparison, I also calculated with this exact same trip on the exact same day with the exact same traffic, what the gasoline versions of the 2024 Chevy Blazer would do. That's only a small preview of what's coming. Those results were honestly really interesting, and I'll be breaking all that down in the final video of this series. Before we get there, we still have one more challenge ahead. We have to drive all the way back to Arizona, and this time we're taking a different route. So if you enjoyed following this first half of the journey, please make sure to subscribe because part 2 is coming very soon. Drop your comments and opinions down below. Do you think we're going to spend more money in part 1 of the trip or part 2 of the trip? And which route do you think is going to take more time? Because on the second part, we're doing a completely different route. Stay tuned for part 2.